Greetings and welcome to another edition of Seamless Style, powered by Polo Ticks and Polaroids. I'm your host, Mr. Parker. Greetings, and salutations. We are back with another edition of Seamless Style. Now, for this episode, you gentlemen and ladies can thank one of our most, if not the most, faithful Seamless Style family members, Mr. Rogers Anderson. All right. Not only does Mr. Anderson consistently donate very humbling contributions to the channel, he's also been a customer. And he is just one of those really down-to-earth, cool, mod Renaissance men that we all just respect to the highest of respectability. Not only is this particular episode his idea, this episode is made possible because of him. And he is also the reason that not only will we have 2 rigs, not only will we have 3 rigs, but we will have 4 rigs today, plus the ensemble I'm wearing. All right. So you guys who, a lot of you are watching for the free, you have yet to make a donation to this channel. You guys are getting 5 looks today. All right. Now, this episode is featuring the Yearbook sweater. All right. Is the Yearbook sweater the actual term for the sweater? My guess would be yes, but I don't know for sure. All right. But that said, I do like the term. So that's what we're going to run with until Mr. Lauren tells us something otherwise. All right. So the Yearbook sweater, a nice, typically hand knit sweater with a year across the front. All right. Sometimes the year that's across the front has significant meaning. Sometimes it doesn't. That said, the Yearbook sweater, in my opinion, again, this is something that I am open to being corrected on. The Yearbook sweater was first made popular by one photo. All right. One photo did it. All right. This photo is from the Take Ivy publication. I'm going to put the picture on the screen. Most of you gentlemen and ladies have seen this photo before. But in my humble opinion, this particular picture took the Yearbook sweater to the iconic status that it is currently at today. All right. So, as I stated, 4 rigs plus the ensemble I'm wearing for a total of 5 looks today. All right. Now, we're going to start with the look that I have on, and we're going to start at the bottom. I wanted to keep this look casual with hints of dressy. All right. And what I mean by that is I wanted this look to be casual, but I wanted to be understood that with a simple tweak here or a simple tweak there, this look can go from casual to dressy in about 0.067 seconds. All right. Start at the bottom, I broke out the Teds. Now, the Teds is a sneaker. That said, the way I am wearing them, the Teds laced up, high top sneaker, borderline boot. All right. But the white sole makes it a sneaker. All right. Suede gives it almost a boot look. But the way I have them laced up, the way I have them under my trousers, it maintains a sneaker look, but it still has almost a dressy sneaker vibe to it. All right. In a beautiful, rich rugby royal. All right. Hosiery, I have on a pair of gray socks ribbed gray socks, my trousers, my pants, the sateen pants that came out last year, or earlier this year. I'm sorry, they came out earlier this year. The sateen trousers in a mint julep. As you scroll up, I have on an OCBD, all right, with some vibrant fall and spring colors intertwined. Over top of that, I have the OG 1967 yearbook sweater by Ralph Lauren. All right, polo blue label, crew neck, with 1967 embroidered in a soft chenille patch across the front. All right, approximately 3 inch in height as far as the numbers. And as you can tell by the Yale 1967 banner, you can see where the inspiration came for this particular sweater. Rugby Royal in hue, same as the banner that I copped from a Yale graduate. 1967, same font as on the banner here. Just an incredible looking sweater. All right. Now, on top of that, I added a polo blue label wool soft tweed sports coat, dual vented, 2-button, beautiful Donegal patterns with subtle orange inside the pewter gray mix of this tweed jacket. All right, throat latch, just a wonderful piece of equipment here. The most recent iteration of this particular 1967 sweater, I don't think it's currently on ralphlauren.com, but I have seen maybe a half a dozen or more on some of your secondary sites such as eBay. That particular version that I think they dropped last year or maybe earlier this year is a boat neck sweater. The numbers are slightly larger and the numbers are printed on the sweater. Now that said, it's a great look. It's a great looking sweater. But just to keep it 100 with you, it's not the OG, right? The OG just, I don't know, it gives a little more vintage, right? It gives a little more take Ivy to the look, all right? But that said, if you can't find the OG, the most recent version is a wonderful piece to have, all right, if you're into yearbook sweaters, which we all should be as Ralph Lauren guys, in my opinion, all right? But to each his own. Anywho, I digest. Fragrance of the ensemble and fragrance of the episode. Polo Sport Fresh, ready to jump out the box. Polo Sport Fresh. Now, why Polo Sport Fresh? Well, I went with Polo Sport Fresh for two reasons. One, because it's still a masculine scent, right? Which is a must when it comes to us. Like, in my opinion, if your scent is not masculine, then what are you doing? There's no point. You're wearing it. You're a masculine guy. That said, all Ralph Lauren fragrances for men are masculine. Every last one of them. All right. The other reason is because I wanted something soft, right? Something a little subtle, but something that, again, still screamed manly. And either Polo Sport or Polo Sport Fresh works with not only this ensemble, but the entire episode as a whole. All right. So, Polo Sport Fresh. If you only have Polo Sport, not a problem. Polo Sport works just as well. The main difference between Polo Sport and Polo Sport Fresh is the talcum powder or baby powder that you can actually smell in this wonderful fragrance. All right. So that is our fragrance of the episode. Now, without any further ado, you guys ready? Me too. Man, let's go. For our first rig, we broke out a very popular, very stylish piece from the Ralph Lauren Boathouse collection of last year. A wonderful cream yearbook sweater They came out with a bunch of very nice pieces from the Boathouse collection. This particular 1967 sweater has the weight that allows us to wear it now, but the look in and of itself allows you to wear it with a nice pair of shorts, maybe a thin woven sports shirt during your early spring and even into your mid and maybe even late spring months. All right. But for right now, we're talking about fall wear now. All right. I ain't gonna hold you up. Let's start right now at the bottom. All right. At the bottom, we broke out a pair of Polo Blue Label saddle shoes. All right. Dress casual saddle shoes in cream. All right. Cream with a Gurkha tan saddle. Just a nice pair of dress casual, whimsical shoes. All right. This footwear is not for the weak. All right. This is not for the weak. If you don't have the confidence to wear a saddle shoe like this, then don't wear it. Don't do it. All right. There's no need in you stepping out of the house and being self-conscious. All right. This particular footwear, like I said, is not for the weak. Now, as far as hosiery, I went with Columbia blue socks, striped with rugby royal and navy striping. All right. Scroll up. Our pants, twill pants in a slim straight and an off-white. All right. Wonderful twill pants, look almost like they're denim. All right. A little bit thicker than chino whenever you're dealing with twill pants. All right. So a casual look, but more leaning more towards dress casual. All right. Went with a brown belt here. Scroll up, broke out another OCBD. Again, similar to the OCBD that I'm wearing, from a standpoint of you have fall and spring hues intertwined together in a wonderful plaid pattern on this OCBD. All right. We have rugby royal, we have Columbia blue, sun yellow, we have a little bit of orange and white and a little bit of navy as well. Attached to this beautiful OCBD is a bow tie. All right. We went with a whimsical look bow tie, floral pattern, sun yellow base, floral prints, and a little bit of red here, mainly hues of Columbia blue and rugby royal. And then our featured piece, better known as our piece de resistance, is this wonderful Boathouse collection piece, a 1967 yearbook sweater. All right, boat neck sweater, ribbed in a wonderful cream or deck wash white, as far as the world of Ralph Lauren is concerned, with 5-inch 1967 numbers embroidered across the front in a beautiful Columbia blue hue. All right. Again, like I said, this sweater. The weight of this sweater works perfectly for layering, but the hue and pattern and vibe that you get from this sweater works wonderful as well, like I said, with a pair of shorts for the spring, early and mid-spring. One thing I also love about this sweater is a similar detail as the sweater that I'm wearing. The ribbed waist of both sweaters, the sweater I'm wearing and the sweater on rig 1, it's a large ribbed waist. All right. It's about a 3 to 4 inch length of ribbed around the waist. I just love that from a standpoint of it gives it a more vintage vibe, a more vintage feel. All right. You can finish this look off with any type of gentleman's cap. A dad cap could work. Might be pushing a little bit with a dad cap. You might take away from the mature vibe that this overall look gives you. All right. Also, too, when it comes to layering this look, when the temperatures drop even more, it is definitely possible and probable, if you have a tweed sports coat, whether it be a herringbone or a houndstooth pattern, something of that nature, that has a lighter base to it, right? So if you have a basic sand or even a boating khaki tweed sports coat, especially if it has wide lapel, it will work with this ensemble. All right, it will absolutely work with this ensemble, and it'll give you another layering piece, like I said, when the temperatures drop. All right, so Rig 1, 1967, Boathouse Collection. Let's keep it going. Now, for our next look, we feature a 1967 sweater from the Ralph Lauren Mr. Porter collaboration of several years ago. Don't hold my feet to the fire, but I think it's probably been about 4 or 5 years now. But this 1967 sweater, it was a bit pricey, but it was one of those pieces that if you were willing to spend what Ralph Lauren Mr. Porter was asking, or if you were willing to practice patience and wait until you could find a more reasonable price, it's worth it. It's a nice, simple nod to the brand as a whole. All right, 1967 is an iconic year when it comes to Ralph Lauren. You see those 4 numbers everywhere when it comes to Ralph Lauren. So just having a 1967 sweater in your arsenal is almost a given, right? And this collaborative effort is just one of those ones, and it's mainly because of the hue. The fact that it's navy just makes you say, there's so much I can do with that. And I'm gonna show you. All right. Start at the bottom. We went a little dressier with this look than Rig 1 or the look I'm wearing. All right. First things first, we went with a pair of go-to brown leather dress shoes. All right. This particular pair is our strap brown loafers, slide-on loafers in a wonderful chocolate brown. Simple yet elegant, very dressy. All right. Our hosiery, we went with college gray heraldic rep stripe socks, Polo Blue label. All right. So we wanted to keep the look dressy. We wanted to add a little more, shall we say, collegiate to our look, right? But we wanted to keep it subtle. All right, scroll up. This is a part of the combination that really just sets this look off. We went with a pair of dress slacks in a black watch pattern. All right, originally a classic cut, has been tailored to a slim cut with a wonderful taper, and we kept our pleats. All right, so we have a air quotes grown man look in a more modern cut and the iconic black watch pattern. All right, what more do you want me to tell you? All right, scroll up. White OCBD, and over top of that we have our piece de resistance, which is the Ralph Lauren Mr. Porter collaborative 1967 sweater. Now again, this sweater is a boat neck sweater. All right, boat neck sweater, wonderful ribbed in an aviator navy with 3-inch numbers 1967 printed across the front. All right, printed across the front, and again we have a wonderful, nice sized ribbed waist to give it that vintage look. All right, finish this look off with our favorite pair of sunglasses. In this particular case, we went with Ralph Lauren RL Automotive sunglasses that we can also wear, but we can also use to accentuate our ensemble by styling it as such. All right, again, you can finish this look off with your favorite gentleman's cap. Your favorite wool fedora works here, and if the temperatures drop, you can definitely do a sports coat, right? Tweed, whatever pattern. Also, a polo coat or a car coat also works very well here. All right, something with a 3/4 length or longer works perfectly when it comes to this look. All right, but this look, like I said, is a lot dressier than Rig 1 or the ensemble I'm wearing. As a matter of fact, It's the dressiest of all the looks that we have here today, but it's just one of those ones. This is a look that when you put this ensemble on, you can do nearly anything as far as your outdoor activities. All right. This look will work for work unless you're in super corporate America. This look will work for work. It works for happy hour. It works for a night on the town. It works for an evening at the cigar bar with the fellas. This look works for running errands because we're comfortable in dress shoes. All right. So this is a look that definitely any of you gentlemen can achieve. Just track down that Ralph Lauren Mr. Porter collaborative sweater. All right. So now for our third rig is super comfortable, super casual, yet still fun, and yet still represent ourselves as Ralph Lauren guys. All right. Our third rig features the often missed and much beloved Rugby Ralph Lauren brand. All right. Our third rig features some iconic numbers and iconic logo. All right. Let's just start at the bottom. For this look, I want you to break out your favorite pair of footwear that's non-dressy. All right. So if that's a pair of off-white Chuck Taylors, go that route. Hopefully they're low cut. If that's a pair of Ralph Lauren sneakers, go that route. In this case, in my case, my favorite pair of simple boat shoes. All right. I broke out my brown leather boat shoes, simple, vintage looking, right? Worn, but not ran over. And that's it. All right. This look, these shoes work perfectly with the vibe that I'm trying to convey here. All right. So much so, no hosiery is needed. If you want to do hosiery, absolutely you can. In my case, no socks, buddy. None. All right. Scroll up. Rugby Ralph Lauren Chinos GTH. All right. This is the OG rugby version. If you have the Polo Blue Label version, so be it. But the iconic skull and bones works to perfection with this look and this vibe. All right. As you scroll up, I broke out a beautiful hued plaid sports shirt. All right. We have Columbia blue and French navy working together as a well-oiled machine. All right. We did not button our collar down. We did not add any neckwear. We simply popped our collar. All right. That's how casual we are with this look. All right. And then over top of that is our featured piece. Rugby Ralph Lauren jersey. All right. A jersey tee. Just as thick as a rugby shirt. All right. That's what we're dealing with here. Something with a nice amount of weight to it. Now, as you look at the details here, we have remnants of a crew neck sweatshirt, right? A classic, your favorite, most comfortable crew neck sweatshirt. When we look at the collar here, no, there's no V insert, but just the thickness of it, the stitching, it gives off that type of vibe. Our sleeves are striped, right? French navy with white stripes, all right, for a wonderful collegiate pattern to it. And then over the front, we have 3-inch numbers, all right? The year 1839, which we've already discussed. 1839 is the year that a professor at Rugby College discovered and started to create the actual game of rugby. All right. With this look, because we're super casual, you want to have your shirt tail hanging out. Now, on this particular rig, I did the left shirt tail. You can do the left, right, and the back. You can do the left and the right only. You can do the right only. You can do none of them. My suggestion is have some of your shirt tail hanging out. Just because, again, you want to give off that comfortable look, that comfortable vibe. You want to let people know, hey, I'm chilling today, but I'm still H1M. I'm still him, right? You can finish this look off with a dad cap. Now, my strong suggestion would be either a Skull and Bones Rugby Ralph Lauren cap, a Kicker Rugby Ralph Lauren cap, or an R Rugby Ralph Lauren cap. But if you're going to do a dad cap, I absolutely would do one of those three or something in that vein. If you have a Rugby Ralph Lauren dad cap that has a crest on it or something of that nature, that works too, right? Also, it does not need to color coordinate with this wonderful French Navy jersey, right? It just does not, because everything is fairly muted when it comes to this look. As far as your hues, you can afford to add a pop of color if you decide to throw a dad cap on, right? So if you're, I don't know, Skull and Bones, if your Skull and Bones Rugby Ralph Lauren cap is boating khaki with, I don't know, a red Skull and Bone, feel free to throw it on. If your cap is college green with a white big kicker, have at it. It's going to work, all right? Because at the end of the day, this look is very laid back, yet it still stands out because of the vibe, because it's Rugby Ralph Lauren. Now, for our last and final rig of this episode, we feature a dressier look than the previous rig, obviously. Not quite as dressy as our second rig, but pretty close, pretty close. And we feature the newest of the Yearbook sweaters, right? And this particular Yearbook sweater is from Double RL, all right? This beautiful, beautiful Yearbook sweater was just one of those pieces. When I saw it, I knew I was getting it. And I did immediately. And I don't venture too much on Double RL as far as RalphLauren.com. I'm not on there too much. But what brought this sweater to my attention was an ad on Instagram. All right. When I saw it, clicked on it, then went straight to the site and then did my thing. But listen, enough of that. Let's start off at the bottom, all right? Because this look it's a great look. It's a great look. And it definitely represents Double RL to the full, all right? Start at the bottom. I went with a black pair of dress shoes. I went with black because of the neck on our Yearbook sweater. Whether it's aviator navy or black, I just felt like with the college gray slacks here, let's just go with the black. Let's just go with the black. You know, we don't wear a lot of black over here because of our dark complexion, but let's just go with the black, because sometimes it just gives that type of vibe. All right. As far as hosiery, I went with these wine argyle socks here. Wine based, just beautiful argyle socks, adds that vintage type of vibe to it. You know, when you sit down and you put your leg up in that manly position, it just lets everybody know, hey, listen, man, that man is all man, all right? Alpha. Anywho, scroll up. I went with a pair of Glen plaid wool flannel dress slacks. All right, Glen plaid wool flannel dress slacks. If I'm not mistaken, these are Ralph Lauren, but if they're not, then they are Polo Blue Label. I went with a woven sports shirt, button-down collar, in a basic sand hue. Attached to that is a wonderful Polo Blue Label bow tie, black, with wine and cream paisleys. And then over top of that, our featured piece. This Yearbook sweater, all right? This Yearbook sweater has a subtle boat neck collar, all right? So it's not as wide as our other boat necks, but you can definitely tell visually that it has boat neck inspirations. It has a cricket style chevron pattern that is somewhat tonal, which is just something very unique and very outstanding, all right? On our chevron are stripes, 2 stripes that repeat, that are either in a very dark aviator navy or black. This beautiful sweater by Double RL is ribbed, heavily ribbed. The stripes has 2 stripes on the ribbed cuff as well as the ribbed waist. And then it has 2.5-inch 1903 written across the front. All right. Subtle chenille embroidery in our most popular font. All right. This look, if you do headwear, can be finished off with the most perfect tam, a baker's cap, or even a wool fedora. My suggestion would be a tam or a baker's cap. It's just going to lend to the overall aesthetic that you get with Double RL, right? Which is that workwear aesthetic. Now, of course, this look does not scream working as an engineer on the trains, but it does scream growing up in 1903 and being, getting a little dressed, but you're a hardworking man, you're a blue collar man, you're a hands-on type of man outside of this particular event that you're currently involved in. All right. So throwing on that tam or throwing on that baker's cap says, hey, listen, man, I'm macho, I'm alpha, right? I'm H1M, I'm him. And that's another episode in the books. Man, so I hope you gentlemen and ladies loved this episode. Again, round of applause for Mr. Rogers Anderson. He's the reason that you got this episode today. He's the reason that you got a total of 5 looks. All right. We need more like you over here to sing with style, Mr. Anderson. I appreciate you and I salute you, brother. All right. That said, this next episode, right, is a piggyback off of this episode, but it was also inspired by another one of our most well-respected viewers and a personal friend of mine, Mr. Jaron McKinney. All right. So let's just say this next episode, some of you may not be able to apply these looks this year because we may be just a week or 2 late. Some of you will be able to apply them, but you better hurry. This next episode is going to feature pieces for homecoming. All right. Going to feature pieces for homecoming. Whether it's a community college, an HBCU, or Duke Law, we're going to feature pieces for homecoming. All right. Now, please feel free to donate to the channel. Every little bit is appreciated. Every big bit is even more appreciated. All right. Y'all know I got a surgery coming up. I need some money. And I appreciate all the shout outs and well wishes as well. All right. I appreciate that very much from the bottom of my heart. All right. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, and tell a friend, man, we here. We here. Right? Yearbook, 1967. Artists paint pictures, haters paint narratives. Y'all have a good one.